welcome back to The Blend Effect. I'm Sayli.
And I'm Radhika.
And today we're going to discuss a really fun topic, which is
visiting India and our India trips.
And I think it'll be fun because, as always, we discuss these things since I was born and raised in America and Radhika was born and raised in Canada. And so we just like to compare and contrast our experiences as North American born and raised individuals to immigrant parents. So.
Yes, absolutely. And Sally, I think we have visited India probably, a handful of times, in our lives growing up. And every time that we visited, I felt like I kind of had a new experience about something, had sort of a different, perspective on some things. But some of the experiences that I had, they were always very constant, right?
Yeah.
Like every year I would feel the same thing about, for example, like the bathrooms or the lack of space as an example.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, or maybe we can start talking a little bit about, what were some of your experiences visiting India growing up?
So before we do that, I wanted to ask you, how frequently did you even visit India growing up?
Right. So actually, I really only visited India about 4 times in my whole life, from the age of 1 to the age of 17. Okay. So that wasn't that many times.
Yeah.
And then when I went to college, then I went, once, and then after I got married, we started going almost every year.
So now in those 4 trips, how old were you? Because I'm sure you were at different phases of your life, so they must have been different.
Right, yeah. So of course my first trip was when I was 1, which I don't remember obviously. And then my next trip was when I was 5. And I have some memories from, my 5.5 to 6-year-old trip. And then after that, I was 17. I literally went after 11 years. Mm. And that trip, I probably have the most memories.
Yeah.
And then of course throughout my college and then going afterwards, of course I have memories from that trip.
Right.
Yeah.
So I actually went to India almost every year of my life growing up. And it was funny because I think I've said in a prior episode where my parents weren't so well off. We weren't so well off growing up, right? Our parents were immigrants from other countries where they were still trying to make ends meet, try to create a life in a new country. And so we were not doing poorly, but we weren't so well off that we could just afford to buy 4 India tickets so frequently and do other vacations. Right. So the only vacation we went on was India.
Okay.
We never went anywhere else.
Right.
And so every year we used to go to India every year, or at least every 2 years at the most. So I do have a lot of variety in the experiences that I remember. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So kind of going back to your question now of what kind of things do I remember, I think what really stands out to me is that, of course, there were pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
I think that the pros were always being able to see family. And again, as we said in our last episode, we didn't have that everyday connection to them. So it was really nice to be able to meet them, be able to meet our aji, azoba, bakijiji, maushi kaka, tia, everybody that was there. I think that as I got older, I was more interested in learning more about things. So for example, I remember I asked my aji to Nawari sari nahi saila shikwa.
Nice.
Yeah. Because my aji was from the generation that wore Nawari sari every day. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that was the last of that generation. Nobody really does that. So I think there's a lot of positive, being able to play with friends in India, being able to play with my cousins. Of course, like you said, there were negatives, which was really struggling to deal with bathrooms in India. So I think we'll dive more into that as we go on.
Yeah, for sure. But I think, along with some of the cons or challenges, I guess we could say, for me, definitely this concept of wet bathrooms. Oh. And remember, we were visiting India in the 90s when houses weren't as renovated as they are now. They weren't necessarily built with the same style that they are now. Nowadays, I think, everybody has tried to now replicate more of, a Western, style of housing.
Or keeping up with their houses.
Keeping up with their houses for sure, right? So nowadays, the concept of wet bathrooms, may or may not, still be there depending on where you live. But certainly when we were growing up, when we were going, that was so common, right? Yeah. Having this wet bathroom and the entire bathroom being wet, right?
It was also really interesting. I don't know if you had this, but the shower and the toilet were separate. Did you?
Yeah. Some of the houses that we stayed in were, so that was also kind of interesting. It's 2 stops,
Right, yeah.
But then even other things, right? I remember, sitting in a car and being where's the seatbelt? No seatbelt.
There were belts sometimes, but nobody was using
and sometimes they were broken. I remember, right? Or, you're walking down the street and people are pushing you and you're why am I getting pushed?
Yeah.
Nobody's saying, excuse me, right?
Right.
Or even, and I know I'm delving into a couple of different things, but even sometimes sometimes if you're like going out to eat, right? Like, you're going to eat like chaat or, pani puri or something on the street, and then
I was not.
You were not. Right. Yeah. So I was that adventurous kid that was like, no, like I want to go. So what was interesting was like the level of hygiene sometimes, right? Where I remember, and this was like more when I was older, being like, oh gosh, like, are his hands washed? Are they putting them in there? But anyways, so those were some of the like challenges or shocks, I guess, to us when we were growing up. I don't know if you faced similar things.
I think there are a few concrete examples that I can give, which I think somebody living in India is completely unfazed by. But being American, I think I was very fazed by them.
Right, yeah.
One of them being the concept of washing your clothing, but there not being a dryer.
Yes.
Right? So our entire life, I've always only witnessed the use of a dryer. You wash your clothes and you throw them in the dryer and they dry and they come out. And privacy is maintained.
Yeah.
And I think I was very uncomfortable growing up, and it was almost humorous. So I don't want to like knock it down or anything. But everybody has their bars or their dorya on the ceiling or their balcony, and सगळ्यांचे कपडे लटकलेत.
Right. Yeah.
And that included everybody's underwear, everybody's bras, and undergarments. And I just remember being so petrified because I was like, that's my underwear hanging on the ceiling. And there's a kaka in this house, and my dad is here, and my brother is here. And then there's guests coming into the house.
Right. And it's all right there.
It's all on display. And I was just like, wow, it's such a personal thing for us.
Right.
And yet it was so normal for people there that they were completely unfazed by it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously the concept of not having dryers, but then lack of space too, right? Is like, where else, it was
where are they going to put it?
Sometimes they, it gets hung right there in the kitchen or right there in the living room. So yeah. Exactly. So yeah, that was definitely one sort of part of it. Anything else that you
I think I can give so many stories, right? Yeah. But I think another thing that as an American I realized that I am very entitled in thinking this way.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like that. I think I'm very humbled when I go to India. Yeah. Because, for example, when I take a shower here, the bathrooms are usually in such a condition where you do feel comfortable changing your clothing in the bathroom because you have a dry bathroom. It's not wet. It's also, I feel like when people go to bathrooms in America, I'm actually almost excited to go to people's bathrooms in America because I'm like, what kind of candles are they going to have in here? Or what kind of decor are they going to have? Or what towels are they hanging? It's almost just like another room that has had interior design happening to it where people are decorating their bathrooms. Whereas in India, a bathroom's a bathroom. Every time I shower here, I will have that space in the bathroom, or I have a room attached to it where I can go into the room and just have all my space to dry off and change. Whereas in India, first of all, the bathroom is probably in a common area. If it's in a room, people don't expect you to lock the entire room while you're in there. But I am so spoiled by maybe being from here that even to this day, even at India, that I'm just like, hey guys, I'm gonna lock the whole room. Yeah. The bathroom in it. Yeah. Because I need my privacy and my space to do this, and I can't change in the bathroom. And I have to give credit to my sasu sasre and everybody who lives there because they are just so considerate of my needs. Right. And they absolutely are like, okay, lock the bathroom or lock the entire room. We know that you're in there. We won't come into the room, use it. But I'm pretty sure in houses where it's just 1 BHK, you
can't. You pretty much can't because you can't like hold up everyone in the house, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I remember visiting, some of our relatives who did actually have, bigger homes and had bathrooms attached to the bedrooms, and there were still other spaces where the rest of the people would go, but sometimes it was like, like they needed something from that room at that moment, and irrespective of the space, it is not considered rude for someone to walk into the bedroom even if you're taking a shower. So it was like, I'm just going to grab my stuff and get out. Yeah. But for us, that is awkward.
It's a big deal.
Right. Yeah. So it's like when I go, I'm always like, okay, if anyone needs anything, can you grab it from here before?
Or wait until
Exactly, right? And sometimes, like in some of my relatives' cases, it's not even lack of space. Yeah. It's just like the custom of, I need to go in, Ani, I mean, I'm just going to go and get my stuff and come out, it's fine.
You can't walk a whole room.
Right, exactly, right? So that's sort of a different, shifting topic a little bit to space. But it's funny, I think like talking about space, so like when I got married and we went to, like my husband's parents' house and we were leaving from India, mala bag bharaychi hoti, right? And here, when you're packing your suitcase, if you're going on a trip, you go in your room and you do it, or you do it somewhere else. So tikade, it was like literally like our bags were first of all like in the living room. You put them in the living room, and it's like you're packing your bag and you're trying to get all your stuff together, and it's like everybody's there, and it's not even necessarily because like they're trying to be nosy or trying to get in, like right on, like what you're doing. It's just that dusri space that's nahi hai, and it's completely acceptable. And my husband said to me, he's like, well, he's like, it's not a big deal, right? He's like, just pack your bag here. And for me, I was like, this is like, I need my space to pack my bag, but it's completely acceptable, and it's not considered taboo or wrong or different there.
And it's not necessarily wrong, it's just the way that they're probably doing things.
Right.
Another thing that comes to mind as we're talking, and maybe this topic's a little bit uncomfortable, so trigger warning for men. But menstruation.
Yeah.
We have trash cans in every bathroom here.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're comfortable just, no matter whose house you go to, you can just do your thing and throw your stuff away in the bathroom, and there's a trash can everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 12 or 13 and that whole process had just started for me and we had gone to India, I just remember being like, how do I dispose of this? Where do I dispose of this? Who's going to pick it up? Who's going to take it out? आता एक चांगली गोष्ट आहे इंडियाची जी कचरेवाले रोज येऊन कचरा घेऊन जाते.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So none of that is staying in your house for a long period of time. But at the same time, just thinking, oh, there's just that one kachra, त्या एका कचऱ्यात टाकायचंय, oh, I need a newspaper to wrap it in, how do I hide this? There's no toilet paper.
Yeah.
So, I think that was something I struggled with a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Tu atta, you mentioned the, trash person coming and, taking your trash. One of the things that I remember being fascinated by when I was older was the level of labor and service that's like there, especially in these like bigger cities, right? Manje kashasati sudha, you can find someone to do the work. Like my cousin was one time telling me how they have someone to specifically come and pick up their, scrap papers. And I was like, really? Like you have someone, or, it's like if you need something, it is not uncommon to call the person from the store and ask him just to send it up to your building. And really, like you have that service. So that level of service and that like level of labor that's available, that was something that when I went, that was, in one of my more recent memories, I remember being pretty fascinated by and thinking it was like pretty cool that, like if you needed something, you don't always need to step down. Of course, sometimes you do, but not always, right? That sometimes that service like is there. Or I remember even sometimes like, you're going shopping into a store and there's someone to like open the door for you. And I'm kind of like, that's all right. So I have to open my own door. But I think it's just, it's kind of the economy, right? Like the creation of jobs there and the availability of labor as well.
I agree. So I think shifting from the things that we struggled with to the things that we enjoy, or rather like growing up in America, I think as a child, I struggled with India a lot because I wasn't able to be independent there, right? I was very dependent on where my parents going, having to just kind of go along with what they're doing. But as I got older and I started being able to be more independent, of course, I'm still heavily dependent on my husband or somebody to help me out. But I started realizing these things, right? You go shopping, you need somebody to tailor your outfits exactly how you want them. You can custom make dresses that you can't make here. Rehachi bag tutli hoti, right? And we were really bummed because that was her diaper bag. What do we do about it? There was somebody down the street who just fixed it. Your watch breaks, your whatever, anything that breaks, rips, tears, whatever, it can be done.
Right. Yeah.
Same day, same time, super cheap, whatever.
Yeah.
And I envy that actually here. And many times I'll be here and kaitri simple like अरे हा ब्लाउज आता होत नाहीये. या ब्लाउजचं काय करायचं? Nothing. I can't do anything.
You have no one to take it to.
Either like undo it yourself, and if you can't do it, then
you're not wearing it.
You're not wearing it until you go to India next and get it fixed.
But I think that shows, the creativity, right, of the people there, or the resourcefulness, or the skill set, really, right? There's such a variety of skill set that there's someone to help with anything that you need.
Right, exactly. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really nice. And I definitely miss that part of India trips. And as I have gotten older, I definitely look forward to going to India more now because there's friends. I finally have friends there. So yay.
Yeah.
And I have people I want to see. I have things that I want to do. I want shopping to be done now that I have my own money and I can.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I think for me too. I think there was a point as a kid going to India where, you know, it was more of a challenge and, you know, could have been seen as a drag. Like, oh gosh, now we have to make this trip there. But now it's like something that I look forward to.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a testament to, you know, just over years of going, and also now maybe more like happily accepting things the way that they are there instead of seeing them as like a drag or like a problem like I had before.
And it's funny because I think every time I come back from India, I miss it.
Yes.
And I think everything that was negative is overshadowed by all the positives, right?
So
Mosquitoes.
Agree. Yeah. So
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But there were while we were there. We were definitely struggling with those things, especially if you go to Mumbai where it's very humid.
Yeah.
Of course, if you go in the summertime, the heat is insane.
Right.
But I definitely think that coming back from India, I miss it because I remember the good times that I'm spending with people, the shopping that I've done. Very excited about that all the time.
Yeah, the food. I feel like we didn't talk about
the
that.
Food, No, I'm not eating street food to this day, but definitely the food is so much better.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So for sure, I completely agree. I think now my trips have turned into, again, as I said, not a problem or a drag or, oh gosh, I have to do this. It's like, you know, well thought out vacation. Actually, like looking forward to.
And I think that is definitely our perspective, but I think we would be very interested to hear from anybody who is from India. Mm-hmm. We would be really fascinated to hear, did you have relatives that visited you from abroad. North America or abroad, Europe, wherever?
Yeah.
And what was your experience like interacting with them? What was it like for you to see how they interacted with their environments? Was it frustrating sometimes? Because I think there were times where I would sometimes complain.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, kiti garam hai, khub garam hai, hey, kai das hai, hey, kai. And I think I visibly remember my cousin being very irritated with me sometimes.
Right.
As a kid, because she was just like, dude, this is our life. Like, stop complaining about it.
Right.
You know? And I don't think I was doing it excessively, but I think beyond 3 weeks, if I was there beyond 3 weeks, there was a limit to how long I could be in India.
Definitely. But we would love to hear about, you know, your experiences. Drop us a comment. So as always, such a fun discussion.
Short and sweet.
Definitely.
And, we look forward to hearing from you guys. So definitely leave a comment, share the video, like, share, subscribe.
Yes. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.